Hello everybody, hope you're doing well. FXSSI.com did release quite a lot of changes and nice updates, so I'm going to make a video on this particular patch that they did, and there's some really cool functions which I'm going to go through. So this is their patch notes currently, but I'll talk about them now. Some nice features, so I'll do that now. Okay, so what we've got a scrollable history on the order book. So what you'll need to do is shift and then full stop, and then you can go through time, shift and then comma, which is your left arrow, and you go back in time, right? So this is the Euro USD, as you can see on the hourly. Now the most important thing to note is that we crossed the 50% line from above, therefore making it a buy. Okay, so that's like the number one thing that you need to know. It was a buy at this point at 118.20, and now we have rallied 281 pips since. Okay, so that's really important to note that you're never on the wrong side of the trade. And what will happen? They'll try and mask the illusion that it's going to go up, because they don't want to get the retail guys involved, because if the retail go one way, then it becomes less of a buy if they go one way, and if they go the other way, it's less of a sell, because the smart money want to do the opposite of the retail guys, because the humans are counter trend and they're emotional and they make terrible judgment calls. So that's the most important thing to note. And so if we were to scroll through time, your order book will change as you scroll through. So if you click shift and the right arrow, and what we will see, remember that it's a buy, that's the most important thing to note. And these are your current positions and these are your orders. So sell limits, and then you've got your buy stops, and you've got your sell stops and your buy limits. Okay. And what will happen is that we're currently at this point here. So we've got sell limits in place in order to short, because these guys are convinced that it's a sell, which obviously they're doing. They're shorting it, and by shorting it becomes a buy. So they've got sell limit orders above. Okay, so watch this, and what will happen? This will then gravitate over to the current position. So you think about this as what they want to happen, and this is what is happening. So this is current positions, and this is the orders, right? So they've got orders to sell, which were met, as you can see. They were satisfied by that spike, and so what we'll see the lost sellers increase, say 44.6. So these guys had their orders satisfied in order to sell, and it looks, oh great, looks like they did a good thing, right? So it did fall, and this is the trap. I'll show you the trap. So note that the lost sellers should increase. Okay, so we're 38.3, 42, 37, 38, 42. And so what will happen, and then we've got another illusion, potential trap here. So that it fell quite suddenly, and it did fall, and the profit ratio indicator saying, okay, these guys made a little bit of profit. Notice this big jump in the lost sellers. So we went 32.7. Do a couple more. There, that's the trap. So we went from 37 to 44 very quickly, and that was the trap. If I zoom in now, there, that's what got everyone. That was the wall over the eyes for the retail guys. That fall got them. And now what happened? They're lot sellers. As we go through time, they're going to hold on to their losses. It's increasing. So that's a really fantastic, amazing, powerful demonstration of what happens. And so we're now 48% of the retail traders are now lost. But I think, well, it's going to fall. It's going to fall because you know, we were really bearish like yesterday, but now we're into a new day, and so things have changed. And this is another illusion. There we go. So they were paid slightly, and then it comes up again. All the time that these guys are counter trend. So we're back again. They're losing a lot again, and so you see how it works. So that's update 1. So hopefully that was a good demo. And the most important thing to note, like I said at the beginning of the video, it was a buy because we crossed the 50% line. So you wouldn't ever sell it when we cross the 50% line from above and we go below. Right, so that's your bias. Okay, so that's your sentimental bias. And you see how it worked, and that was the trap here. And that occurred on the 8th of April. And everyone would have been blind to it unless you had access to the OrderBook software. And so obviously I've got a little advert there. So come to our websites and you can get access to the indicators. I've got a promo code as you can use, which I'll add to the YouTube video below. There's the details. So that's update 1. So that was a good demo. You can obviously hold your finger on it, and you see how the market structure is changing over time. And these guys are holding on to their losses, which is perfectly normal. See how they've held on to their losses all the way from down there. It's actually quite scary going through. And what will happen, that this will act as a support, because we know that these guys are counter trend and they'd rather hold on to their losses. And what will happen, we come up to take their stops, and this is a liquidity hunt, right? So these guys down here are going to get absolutely destroyed, and that's what happens. And then once those guys get destroyed, that little bar will get smaller until nothing, and then they're out. And so we see how it's been forced up as a support, and so we continue to go up, constantly acting as a support, because these guys are so counter trend, it would be unusual for them to profit. And this is where the profit ratio comes in. Whenever they do profit, we do see a little reversal, and this is a cool little feature where they actually have symbols on the chart to indicate where the retail guys are profiting. So it's a really cool little feature, and you see how the market structure is changing over time, and it's just incredibly cool. And they would have taken their stops by now. Those guys down here, see, they've become completely destroyed, and they've left the casino, and that's how it works. So and we continue to go up, and the reason for it coming up, because one, it was a buy there at the static level and over time. So what I'll get you to do is just simply follow price as I'll use my mouse. They shorted it. Okay, they went pretty sideways. They shorted it here on this huge candle. Went pretty sideways. They shorted it, and they got pretty wrecked, to be honest. They went a little bit long, and then they shorted it here, and that was Friday. Yeah, that was Friday. They shorted it in a really big way. And don't forget, we had the ECB around here as well. So there are lots of things that come into play that sway the bias, the retail mindset, because they work as a herd. And so anything that appears in the news, they'll react to it. They don't look at the fine print, they'll just read the headline. So this was ECB, so there was a little bit of chop there. And I figured, well, we're in drawdown anyway, so just we'll short it and we'll see what happens. They shorted it, and we saw price rally. So that's update 1, which is the historical ability to scroll through, which I think is absolutely amazing. So it's really good if you've got some spare time. See how it works and how they trap people, especially on that example there on the 4th of April. That was the switch, and that was the evil little trap that they placed, because they knew it was a buy, because they looked at the sentiment. And then they pushed price down just a little bit, just to tempt them, and that got them so involved, and then they got trapped, which we can see on the current ratios. So it's really cruel, but then that's FX for you. The ability to expand and hide, which is a cool thing. And you'll note that we've actually got decimal places on the sentiment now, which is really, really cool. If you go to indicators, where are we? Current ratio, and show decimals. So yeah, if you were sitting here all day, and that could be really, really useful for you. And then you can see like a little increments over time. And so that's how that works. So that's cool. And I'm not sure if this is a new feature. Um, it could be new, but I've done it by ratio. So it's sort of done it in it's sorted it in the ratio, in the percentage. So my FX book are very skewed, which is something that I'm slightly wary of, because going about this profit ratio is that they have actually made a little bit of profit just at the close. So we could see a little reversal, and we did take stops out as well. Where else are we? And the last one I think is really cool, which I really like, is the ability to just hover your mouse over, and you get and you've actually got the average line, and it tells you that in percentage terms. Before that was new, that wasn't there before, and you had to hover over to get the data, and that actually tracked the average line as it goes up and down. So that's about it really. There has been some bugs squashed on the SLC, and so yeah, just lots of little updates that I've made. So do have a look at the indicator suite. It's absolutely fantastic. The ratios, you definitely want to use them, because you'd ensure that you were on the right side of the trade, and that's invaluable. You can't put money on that really, especially for trading FX. So as long as you know that you're on the right side, then you would have done incredibly well. At this point, all the quasi-DB guys were aware of this because they saw the spreadsheet and my updates in the morning. So that would have flashed to buy, because I do my summary each morning quite early. And so they would have had the heads up on that really early at 118.20-ish, 118.14. And then you just you buy dips, and you would have done really well. So hopefully it was a good video. And also I did make a series of videos on the indicators as well. So have a look at those if you get any spare time. And I look forward to any questions that you've got as well. So I'm going to make a video on the pitchforks now. So that's like, it was quite in demand. So I'm going to make a video on the technical analysis now. This is sentimental. So I'm going to do one on the technicals. So I'll close now, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Have a good day.